Hi everyone, BritSimon here. So I'm coming to you with some sort of hot breaking news, some sad news. Trump has implemented a new travel ban. Today is June 4th, 2025. There is a new travel ban that's been put in place and will affect a number of countries and will block DV lottery winners from those countries. So let's talk about the travel ban that's being put in place. And we'll also talk about some possible exceptions that will be part of the ban, right? So let me show you first of all. Let's have a look at some of this information. Let me show you the ban. I've jumped online as quickly as I could to just discuss this. I've had a scan through the ban wording, but forgive me if I get anything wrong here. It's because I'm trying to bring you the information as quickly as I possibly could. So I'm doing this with the best of my ability, but I've only had a few minutes to look at this. Okay, so. And I love just thank you for that message. That's just exactly what I needed to see. Akmal, Omar, I'm in Oregon because of you, Brit. So yeah, thank you. That's cheered me up because this is pretty awful. Okay, so let's talk about the ban first of all, and then I'm going to answer some questions that I'm bound to get about what does it all mean, etc. So let me just make this a little bit bigger so that you'll be able to follow along as I read through. It's going to be too big. Okay, so let's have a look at the ban. Yeah, that should be good. All right, so basically Trump has signed this proclamation. It is an executive order for all intents and purposes. There's a weird thing here about the earlier date. Not quite sure why he's saying that. He talks about a justification for this, and bearing in mind this, one of the questions you're going to have, and probably right now, just hold your questions. There's no point in asking questions at the moment, and I'm only going to be discussing the ban. Don't bother asking me other questions about do I have a chance at this embassy, and please just let's spare a thought for the people that have just lost their opportunity. And there are some people who will be absolutely devastated by this news. And so if you want to discuss your chance of getting in an interview next month or whatever at some random embassy, to be honest, I'm not in the mood for that, and nobody else is either. There are people who've just lost their opportunity here. So let's just stay focused on that, and let's go through that information. I'm not going to go into other questions. Okay. Sorry to be so blunt, but anyway. So here's the list of countries that have got a total ban, which will affect people from these countries. The list is Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, oh my God, Sudan, and Yemen. Okay, brutal. There's a second list of countries which are somewhat affected, but as far as I'm understanding right now, DV lottery winners from this second list are not affected. So really, it's the first list that we're most concerned with in terms of DV lottery, because the ban is a total ban on these people. The ban will start from this coming Monday. Okay, so there is a few days theoretically where if you have a visa right now, the ban does say that no visas already issued will be revoked, right? Which means if you're holding on to a visa right now, you do have a few days to get your ass on a plane to get to America. Okay, you have a few days where you can do this. Now, you've got to understand about this ban. Something you've got to understand: this is an entry ban. Okay, so this is not about visa issuance. This is about whether you can use a visa that you're holding to enter the USA. It's already been established in previous lawsuits that they couldn't stop the visa issuance process, but they can stop. The president can stop certain people from entering the country. And so, as we look at this list, bear that in mind. If you are sitting on a visa right now where you've been issued your visa, but you are waiting to travel, then you do have an option, as far as I'm understanding the ban, unless somebody wants to tell me I'm smoking dope. You do have an option of entering the USA in the next few days until Monday. Once Monday comes around, that's it. Now, theoretically, you could also get a visa issued over the next 2 or 3 days on working days. But being realistic, that's not going to happen. The embassies are not going to issue a visa tomorrow or Friday or Saturday if they're working. They're not going to issue a visa to someone from one of these banned countries. They're not going to do that, to be realistic, unless there's a really sort of close edge case where someone's visa has already been printed, and somebody contacts the embassy and they say, I'll take that visa. If you're sitting in the status, you see your status in SIAC is administrative processing, you may want to send an email straight to the embassy and tell them that you can travel immediately. If you've got the financial capability to do that, get here before Monday. You'd need to arrive in the country before Monday. Okay. So let's talk about the ban and what this means. There's actually an interesting sort of justification for these bans, and it goes through country by country, and explains why that country is being banned. Right. So for Afghanistan, for example, they're talking about the Taliban. They're talking about the possibility of terrorism from that country. So those Afghan nationals who've been processing their visas mostly in Islamabad will suddenly be out of luck. Okay, so that's going to be very impactful to those Afghans, and there are many of them. There are some exceptions for Afghan people, based on. Well, I'll come to the exception, but I'll come to the exceptions later. I'll cover that as a group. But it's the special immigrant visa category is accepted, and a couple of things like that. So it's not really going to help DV lottery winners. Okay, so it talks about. It also talks about overstay. This is interesting to me. The travel ban went through several iterations. The first iteration was clearly an outright Muslim ban. That's what Trump announced he was going to do. That's what Giuliani said he'd produced, and that's what it was. And that got struck down by the courts pretty quickly. And then there was version 2 and version 3 of the ban. Version 3 of the ban was challenged and went through the Supreme Court and was allowed to stay. The wording in this ban is most like version 3 of the ban, but the justifications, and in my mind, by the way, that means it's not going to be challenged. All right, it'll be challenged, but it'll be very difficult to stop this. Okay, because it's written in the same sort of way and the same justification as travel ban version 3 from before, from the first Trump administration, and therefore SCOTUS, which is even more right-leaning today, is going to allow this ban to stay in place. So it's there, and it's probably there for the next 3 years. What was interesting is that they're talking about the overstays. They talk about an overstay rate of 9.7% on B1, B2 visas, and FM and J visa overstay rate of 29%. And so as we go through this, you'll see there's quite a common thread, which is, well, people from that country are overstaying their visas. It's kind of arbitrary. It's interesting that he's chosen to go down that path, but that's the justification for some of these countries. So Afghanistan, the entry of United States nationals, the entry into the United States of nationals of Afghanistan as immigrants and non-immigrants is hereby fully suspended. So that includes DV lottery. Burma. Burma is banned because of overstay rates. Chad, according to the overstay report, they had this, the high rates of overstay, almost 50% on B1, B2 visas, and over 55% on FM and J visas. So that's got worse since 2022. It's unacceptable to the government right now, and that's the reason that they're being banned. Republic of Congo, again, overstays, B1, B2 visas, and FM and J, non-immigrant visas. Overstays is the reason. Equatorial Guinea, overstays again. Eritrea, this is the United States questions the competence of the central authority for issuance of passports or civil documents. This is a sort of a criminal records are not available. Eritrea has historically refused to accept back its removable nationals. So when we're looking to deport someone, if that country doesn't accept the people we're looking to deport, that's a black mark in the books of the Trump administration, that causes their addition to this list. There's also overstay problems from that country, right? So from Eritrea. Haiti, horrible to see Haiti on this, I have to say. It's not particularly a DV lottery thing, but there's been enough hatred directed to Haiti to last a lifetime, frankly. Anyway, the justification is there. Iran, this is a huge blow. Iran, as we all know, gets a lot. Excuse my dog barking. I don't know what's going on with her, but she'll stop in a few minutes. Iran gets a huge number of DV lottery selectees each year. I always warn people that if they're not interviewed by May or so, it's going to get increasingly difficult after that point to go through the process and go through the administrative processing or 221G. It's going to be very difficult for those people the later on it gets in the year. So people that had not already received their visa from Iran already knew they were on a difficult situation, and this is the death blow, frankly, to anybody still on 221G that hasn't got a visa issued yet. They're going to be out of luck. Libya, no competent or cooperative central authority for issuing passports. So yeah, that's blocked. Somalia, again, same sort of thing, lack of competent or cooperative central authority for issuing passports and civil documents. If the country can't get its act together on issuing civil documents, if there's so much fraud on documents, from a country, that's just, again, that's going to be a red flag for America. It's a well-known country that can be exploited for fraudulent documents, and that's a problem. It's not a big surprise. There's mention of terrorist safe haven and so on. So that's banned. Sudan lacks a competent or cooperative central authority. Same thing there. Then there's overstay rates. And Yemen. I mean, Yemen, kicking a country when it's down. Amazing. Well done, Trump. That's just awesome. You piece of shit, Donald Trump, really. Yemen lacks a competent or cooperative central authority. Yeah, because there's some problems going on there. You may have noticed. The government does not yet have physical control over its own territory. Oh, well, let's just kick them while they're down then, shall we? Yemen has been the site of active United States since January 2020. Yemen has been the site of active United States military operations. What the fuck? Why is that in here? This administration is the dopiest administration. We're going to list as the reasoning for banning Yemen that the USA are conducting military operations there. How is that adding to their woes? How is that justified? I don't know. Maybe we could just not be there or not criticize them for us being there. Anyway, and the partial banned countries, as I say, I don't really think you need to worry about that. I'm amazed to see the wording around Cuba, but this is going to be for Cuba and these other countries on the partial ban list. It says specifically the entry of United States nationals of Cuba as immigrants and as non-immigrants on B1, B2, B1 B2, F, M, and J visas is hereby suspended. So this is badly worded because it's the Trump administration. They're morons. So it talks of immigrants, but nationals of Cuba as immigrants and as non-immigrants. So now I'm actually second guessing myself. I'm second guessing myself as to whether they're affected as DV lottery winners or not under that section. This is just badly worded. This is a partial ban, partial suspension of entries. Sorry, let me just read this through again. Reduce, okay, consular shall reduce the validity of any other non-immigrant visa. Wow, and Sierra Leone as well. Nationals as immigrants and as non-immigrants. I think this is this is sick. This isn't the understanding I had. Here's what I'm now thinking this means. People on the partial suspension list, the countries on the partial suspension list, they're banned as immigrants and then non-immigrants in certain classes. So, for example, if you were from Burundi or Cuba on an H-1B, which is a working visa, you would not be banned, right? Because that's a non-immigrant working visa. But if you're on any sort of immigrant visa, I believe you're banned, which means that these countries do need to go through them with you for DV lottery as well. And I'm just gonna say I'm a little unclear about this particular section, but let me read it off the countries. So this applies to Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, Venezuela. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So those countries as well. So this will affect, in my opinion, as I'm reading this right now, this will affect DV lottery winners from that list as well. So in addition to the 12 countries that are fully banned, which includes, various all non-immigrant and immigrant visas, it's also going to be the list here is partially restrict and limit the entry from this additional 7 countries. There's 19 countries in total. Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Those 7 must be considered, from our point of view, from a DV lottery point of view, also banned. So, but apply to both the entry of immigrants. These restrictions distinguish between, but apply to both the entry of immigrants and non-immigrants. Okay, so yeah, the non-immigrant aspect is only to allow certain non-immigrant visas, which makes no freaking sense, but that's Trump all over. Okay, let's talk about some exceptions. There's some important exceptions there. I just noted this down actually because this is fairly important. There are some exceptions that can be used in some cases. Let's talk about that. So firstly, LPR, so lawful permanent residence. What this means is if you're already holding a green card or you're a lawful permanent resident, or you even entered, you don't actually have to be holding the physical green card. It's being a lawful permanent resident is what counts. So if you entered, let's say, the country even a month ago, and you stayed in the country a couple of days and then you went home, whatever, right? You are a lawful permanent resident if you entered the country under the DV lottery visa and went through the initial activation of your status. You are an LPR. LPRs, and we normally talk about green card holder, but I don't want you to be confused by the physical green card. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about LPRs, which is green card holders, whether or not they've got the green card, right? So if you're an LPR, you're exempt from this ban. You're allowed to re-enter. Okay. You're also exempt if you're a dual national of a non-banned country as well as the banned country. So let's say you are a dual national. A lot of people get around this with Canadian citizenship. So if you're a national of, and by national, we're really talking about a citizen. If you're a national of Canada and you're also Iranian, then you're not affected by this proclamation. You are allowed to enter, under the fact that you're a dual national. Okay, and then there's some less interesting ones. Diplomats are exempted. They've created an exception for athletes and immediate relatives and coaches, etc., to do with the World Cup and other big sporting events like the Olympics or whatever. Amazing. They have exempted immediate family. So this is American IR and CR classes. They've exempted Afghan special immigrant visas, SIVs. So that, again, that's not DV lottery, but they've exempted this. And this last one's interesting. Victims of, let me see the wording of this again. This last one, I kind of like this last exemption. Enforcement, where's the exceptions? Here we go. Yeah. This is the only window of hope for Iranians, right? Immigrant visas for ethnic and religious minorities facing persecution in Iran. So if you're from an ethnic or religious minority group that is facing persecution in Iran, then, and you're a DV lottery winner, then you may be able to get an exception and come into the States. That could be interesting for some of you, a few of you. It's not going to cover everybody from Iran, but it will help. It will help some of you. So yeah, there's the IR categories. There's the IR and CR categories with clear and convincing evidence of identity and family relationship, e.g. DNA. So I mean, some of these people won't have DNA relationships, although that's, I guess, why they've separated out the adoptions. But spouses, what do they do about spouses? Traveling on a passport issued by a country not so designated. Yeah. Okay. So those are the exceptions. The exceptions are really important. So I think that's really what I wanted to explain. Let me see if I've got any questions. If you've asked a question about the ban, please. I'm only interested in talking about the ban right now. If you've asked a ban-related question, ask it again now, and I'll take some questions. With the bans coming into effect, is it definite now that AF will go current? No. Okay, let's talk about how this will actually work, how it will affect. Oh my God, Poppy. Excuse me. Shut up, Poppy. Let's talk about the impact to DV 25 and 26. This will have immediate impact from Monday, right? But it isn't going to change the landscape from a DV 25 point of view in the visa bulletin. We're the 4th of June right now. The visa bulletin numbers are already decided, right, for August, and there isn't really enough time for this to affect anything to do with the visa bulletin in DV 25. This probably will have an effect in DV 26, but in previous years, the bans were challenged. I'm wondering if you can hear me with my stupid dog. Excuse me. I don't want to shout at her, but I will if I have to. In previous years, the ban was challenged, right? And because of that, we were able to take down the version 1 of the ban and so on. And because visa issuance can theoretically continue, someone from one of these banned countries could say, well, I'm going to go and get my visa anyway. Okay, I'm going to continue my process and get my visa. Even if they haven't yet attended the interview, they could go and do that. They would do that because they're hoping this ban will be revoked. It does say that the ban will be reviewed every 180 days. that is presumably to give some of those countries a chance to fix some of those requirements or those concerns about documents and that sort of thing, right? So in theory, this ban could be changed over a period of time. So if you're from one of the banned countries and you want to go ahead and get your visa so that you get it printed into your passport, you can't use it, you can't enter until this ban is reduced or modified or revoked. But maybe you want to go ahead and do that. And that's one of the reasons why it won't affect the visa bulletin. It will simply result in an underfilling process. So it will affect Asia more than it would affect Africa, I think. But I don't see it's going to suddenly drive either Africa or Asia or Europe current simply because of this ban in DV 2025. I don't think there's enough time for that feedback loop. And the visas that are being issued for people that have already been interviewed, those visas will continue to be issued, right? So no, I don't think that's gonna. It's an interesting question. Thanks for asking it, but no, that's not gonna affect it. Is Cameroon among the ban? No, it isn't. Is the ban targeting South Sudan or Sudan? It just says Sudan, funnily enough. So I would say South Sudan is not targeted by this ban. Yeah, thank you, David, for putting the list of countries in there. Appreciate that. My born country is Afghanistan, but I am German citizen. Am I affected by this ban? No, as I just said, Tazel, you have got a dual citizenship, so you've got an exception, right? You are. Let me just make this bigger. You've got an exception because of your dual citizenship. You will need to travel under your German passport, okay? But no, you've got an exception. What happens to green card holders who reside in the US who are citizens of the affected countries? Could such persons be banned from re-entry? Were you not here just 5 minutes ago, Mutapi? I just explained LPRs are not banned. Okay, if you're already an LPR, if you're a green card holder, Poppy, if you're a green card holder, you stupid dog, come here, Poppy. If you're a green card holder, you're not banned. Okay, if you're an LPR, I want to say it that way. If you're a lawful permanent resident, which is what we normally refer to as a green card holder, you're not banned. Okay. Is it possible that the travel ban might affect me, even though I left Somalia a long time ago when I was a child? I currently hold a Somali passport, but it was issued in another country, not Somalia. Well, sorry, that's not what I'm talking about. Of course, it affects you. You are Somalian. You've got a single passport, and yes, you're banned. You can't enter if you haven't already entered and become an LPR. You're banned. It doesn't matter that you left the country a long time ago. What you should have done is obtained a citizenship from another country. Now, that's a way you can get around this ban, right? If you obtain another citizenship, and there are some countries where you can do that relatively quickly, maybe you can get another citizenship and use your DV lottery visa. Okay. I just joined, sir. My son and mum got their DV lottery visa yesterday in Liberia as Liberians. Is there any problems with Liberia? Well, did they get? No, they're not on the list, right? So no problems with Liberia. Let me reread the countries that are affected. Okay, there are 19 countries affected from a DV lottery point of view. Okay, the countries affected are. My stupid dog wants to talk. Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Additionally, 7 further countries, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela, also banned. Okay? From a DV lottery point of view. For that second list, the 7 countries, there are some non-immigrant visas which will still be allowed in. That's the way I'm reading it. DV 26 winner from Somalia. Is the travel ban affect your DV process? Yes, it does. You're banned. That's what it means. If I was in any of those countries years ago, will this affect me? No, for fuck's sake. just because you traveled there doesn't mean you're now banned. Please, let's use some common sense here. We're talking about nationals of that country. Why would it? If I've driven through Cuba, I'm not banned because I went there on vacation. That's what you're asking. Come on. Man, oh man. Does it get maybe more visa issued for AS because the ban mostly affect AF countries on 2025? So almost a third of all the visas in AS, Asia region, go to Iran, right? So there are 8,250 visas for Asia. That's the quota this year in DV25. And roughly we expect typically 2,500 Iranians to take those. Now, many of those Iranians will already have taken those visas, but there is going to be a big dent in Asia issuances between now and the end of the year, right? Some people will decide not to turn up for interviews in June, July, August, and September. Some people will decide just not to go. Some people will go for interview from Iran, but they won't be able to travel. But because they've gone to the interview, their visa will be issued. It could be issued if they can pass through 221G in time, but they can't use that visa to enter. So it's if, let's say this ban, you thought it was going to reduce it by 1,000 visas for Iran, it won't be 1,000 because the visas will still be issued. And while the visas are issued, they're counted towards the quota, even though the entry of those people is banned. I'm hoping you're understanding the nuance there. Show us Poppy, someone says. Let's not. My dog is in a bad mood for some reason. Hey, Poppy, you want to come on camera? Come here. She's coming, but she won't let me pick her up, I'm sure. Anyway, because of the ban, some countries are going to select more people to replace them. No, that won't happen. Not in DV25 or DV26. My spouse's I-130 has already been approved and has been sent to MVC. Do you think the ban will affect her case? Yemen. Yes, it will affect her case. Yes. Sure. Now, hang on a second. So you're not a DV lottery, so I don't really want to answer the questions. You should speak to your lawyer. But because it depends on the class of visa, there is an exception for family-based IR category. So I don't know whether that's going to affect you or not. I speak about DV lottery. How will it affect DV26? Right. So a lot of people will have already submitted their DS260 for DV26, right? From these banned countries. Those people probably, in some sort of increasing number, will probably not attend their interviews. Some will attend their interviews. They're entitled to do that. And some will be issued their visas. The embassies are entitled to issue those visas. But those people will not be allowed to enter. So this won't sort of wipe out those countries from the DV26 processing, but it will reduce the number of entries, and it actually will reduce the number of people that process because there'll be more no-shows to the interviews. So it's not a clean-cut answer, right? Just because you're banned doesn't mean you can't get the visa issued. How will it affect DV26 in Asia? Yeah, it's going to be most impactful in Asia because of Iran, right? And Yemen. I mean, that's a huge number between those countries. But anyway, like I say, it's not going to be an instant turn on its head type thing. It could make it more likely that Asia, DV26 Asia, goes a little bit higher in terms of the visibility number. And I think that that's more likely in Africa as well. There's going to be impacts to Africans, right? But it's mainly, I mean, if we look at the numbers, if we look at the countries rather than then consider the numbers, I think the biggest number impacts are in Asia, just looking roughly at the numbers. Yeah, there's some Africa impact without a doubt, but I think the largest numbers are going to be to Asia. Is there an exemption if you are from the 12 countries, but you have immediate relatives in the US, LPR? If you're, okay. If you're So basically, no. So the IR categories are about immediate relatives of US citizens. Okay. So it's not immediate relatives in the way that you're thinking about it. It's immediate relative category, right? I didn't travel. They used to live there as a foreign resident. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Is this ban including green card? No, it doesn't include people who already have, who already have a green card or are lawful permanent residents. But it does impact some of the people that are being given visas, an immigrant visa that would then be able to get a green card, right? DV lottery is what I'm thinking about. Will they update the travel ban list, or this is final till the end of the Trump administration? In the proclamation, it talks about it will be reviewed every 180 days. I think this ban will probably be in place for a long time. I don't think this is going to be taken down quickly by any lawsuit. I think it will probably be in place for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if we live with this for the next 3 years. Wouldn't be a shock to me at all. My mum has a visa. She is in Iran. Can she still travel? It doesn't matter whether she's in Iran or in the supermarket. We're talking about whether she's Iranian or not, right? It's a brand new visa she got from Armenia 1 month ago. From Armenia. Like, you've got to give me better information, people. So it's Alir. So Alir, if she's got the visa right now, if she's Iranian, she's affected by the ban. But if she's got the visa right now, she should get her ass on a plane to America this weekend, immediately, right? She should be booking that now. Her green card depends on it, because if she got a DV lottery green card, or visa through the DV lottery, she has a very, very small window of time until Monday to enter the country. So she should very quickly get her ass on a plane, frankly. There's no exception might happen for this year. DV25 from Sudan. They don't care about whether they're impacting people or not. The idea of this is to impact people. So there's no exception based on, oh, well, that's cruel. They want to be cruel. That's the intention of this, right? So no, they're not going to say, oh, you won the lottery. Oh, we don't want to be cruel to you. You're from Sudan. Oh, no, you should come in. They're not doing that. They don't want the people from these countries to come in, and they're certainly not going to create exceptions because they feel bad for you because they're taking away their, your once in a lifetime chance. They don't give a shit. These are cruel, wicked, horrible people, and they are unfortunately in power in America at the moment, and so they're doing cruel, wicked, horrible things. That's exactly what's happening. So they don't give a damn that they're hurting you. I'm sorry. I think I'm ashamed, frankly, to be an American when they do shit like this. But this is the shit they're doing, and it's going to stick. If I decide to cancel my DS260, does that affect my opportunity for non-immigrant visa for the future? You can't cancel a DS260. There's no such thing. It's once you filed it, it's always there on your record. You can choose not to follow through on the case, but the fact that you filed the DS260 will always remain. It doesn't mean simply because you filed a DS260, it doesn't make you ineligible. Poppy, it doesn't make you ineligible to get to go through a non-immigrant process. It just makes it a bit harder. Okay. I'm from Kenya, DV25, case number 52. I'm not going to answer that. My mum has a USA visa. She's from Iran. Okay, I already answered you earlier. Yeah, I've already answered that. Marwin, I applied DS260 from Somalia. Currently, I don't have other citizenship. Could it work? Could it work if you get another citizenship? Yeah, that might work. If you have a way of getting another citizenship from a non-banned country, yeah, go ahead and do that. That could help you. Simon, do you think the ban-like treatment of DV cases from countries like Iran or Yemen could eventually be challenged legally or reversed in future years? No, I think we're stuck with this. As I said earlier in the video, this is written more like the Travel Ban 3, in my opinion. Travel Ban 3 was challenged legally and went all the way up to the Supreme Court and was allowed to stay in place. The Supreme Court said the president has the authority to stop entry from certain classes of immigrants, and if he chooses to make that about countries, he can, as long as there is some justification. And the justification that was used then was about security. Now they're putting other justifications in there, but the ban will be allowed to stay. Does a green card holder affected or be banned if they're out of the USA now? No, they're not. If you're an LPR or green card holder, you're not affected by these bans, even if you're from one of the banned countries. Could you please tell me what will happen to this citizen of one of the 7 countries if he already got the lottery on March 2025? That also be cancelled. Look, for fuck's sake, John, we've been talking about this ban for some months now, right? If you got your visa in 2025, you should have got your ass to the airport already. You should have done that, right? But you've now got like a few days left to get your ass to the airport. So do that. You didn't listen before when people like me and others were saying, we call it the Curtis rule. We named it after Curtis Morrison, who's one of the lawyers that's going to be working with me, on the GB lawsuit case. So we call it the Curtis rule of you get the visa and you run to the airport, right? Now, some of you should have done that already. I've talked about the ban. It's been well publicized. The government denied that they were going to put a ban in place, but they obviously were, because they're just fucking liars, right? And by now we should understand that they're just fucking liars. That's what they do. They're stupid and they lie. They're cruel and stupid and they lie, right? So they said they weren't going to ban countries. They have. So you need to get your ass on a plane, John, immediately. No dicking around. No thinking this is going to change. If you got your green card, you've got your visa rather since March of 25, get on a plane now. I mean, if you're still here listening to this, you're already too late. You need to get to the airport. Does it affect Oceania? No. How could it affect Oceania? Well, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm obviously very frustrated and angry by this, but some of the questions I'm getting here are also hitting a frustrated, angry person this afternoon. As a winner from Somalia, it took another citizenship after I applied DS-260. Could it work? Yes, Marwan. Again, yes. Your mum, Aliyah, I've already talked about your mother. I don't want to talk about your mother anymore. She's Iranian. Okay, thank you. You're putting in the thing. She has the visa. So, Aliyah, what's she going to do? Right? She got it through me. I'm a USA citizen. Right. Okay. Lovely. Now, book a flight for her. Right? Stop dicking around. You keep posting things in my chat. Why aren't you on the phone to the airline right now, booking a flight? I'm serious. Why are you not doing that? Get your mum over. If you want to see your mum, get to America on the green card. You've got a few days left. You should have done this already. You got your visa. She got her visa a month ago. I don't know what you were thinking, but you should have got your ass on the plane, got her ass on the plane. Do it now. What if I applied twice tourism visa and got my refused under 214B? Oh, come on, Marvin. Stop being silly. I'm talking about the visa ban. 214B doesn't affect immigrant visas. It's nothing to do with that. For countries on the partial travel restrictions like Sierra Leone, how can it affect their DV-26 chances? It does. As I'm reading the text, it affects them. It affects them because that's an immigrant visa. I'm just seeing Philip woke up. Philip, I'm sorry. I hope your kids are in bed. I don't want to be swearing in front of your kids, particularly your kids. I always think of your kids, funnily enough, because you told me once they were listening to me as I started to get fruity with my language. So I apologize if they're hearing any of this, but hopefully it's only you woken up. Does it mean that citizens from the banned countries can't apply for the next year's DV lottery? No, it doesn't mean that. All aspects of the processing continue as normal. This ban is for the entry. So somebody can enter the lottery, right? That's going to continue. Those people can be selected in the lottery in DV-27 or DV-26, it's the same thing. So they'll still be able to enter the lottery from Iran in DV-27. They will still be selected from Iran in DV-27. They will still be able to send in their DS-260. They will still be able to attend the interview. They will still be able to be issued their visa. The one thing that they can't do is enter the USA, which means after 6 months, the visa that they got through the process becomes a worthless decorative symbol in their passport. That's all it means. Those people that do that would be doing that in order to hope that the ban would be removed at some point, right? So, now Trump has a hard-on for Iran. It's not going to get any better, frankly. Iran has not been friendly towards America. How bluntly could we put it? They've done all sorts of shenanigans, and the government of Iran is a bunch of numpties, right? And they think they have pretended they're brave and strong and everything else on the world stage and stood up against the most powerful country in the world. How did they fucking think that was going to end, right? And I'm surprised it hasn't ended worse, but it's certainly going to end badly for DV lottery winners from Iran. I'm sorry about that, but that's the way it is. Crazy. Tomorrow marks 3 years since my family arrived through the DV lottery. Oh, thank you. I needed another happy message. Nothing to do with the band, but I appreciate you trying to cheer me up. Thank you. Most of countries 9, 11, 19 hijackers on the ban list. I wonder why Saudi Arabia 15 hijackers, UAE 2 hijackers. Yeah, absolutely. There's never been. I mean, I was just talking to some work colleagues today, and one of my work colleagues, I was talking to 4 work colleagues. 2 had H1 visas, 1 was on an EAD, and 1 is a green card holder, and a lot of Indian nationals. And one of them sat there as an H1 and said that he believes America will, protect you, when you're abroad, And I'm like, how did that work out for that Egyptian journalist who was chopped to pieces? As a green card holder. He was a green card holder. America doesn't protect us anymore since the Trump administration version 1 doesn't protect us. Doesn't send in the choppers anymore to protect American citizens or green card holders, because we're a bunch of Muppets now, because we've got the chief of Muppets in the White House. So we're losing our credibility, we're losing our power in the world stage. Amazing. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We're not doing anything to Saudi Arabia. Why? Because they got the money and the oil. Did Sierra Leone need West Africa on affidavit to support DV lottery? I don't know what that question means. Do you need an affidavit? I don't know. I'm talking about the ban. And Sierra Leone is on the ban list. Are they going to include more countries to the current list? That could easily happen. Good question. They could easily add countries or remove countries from the list. It did happen before. That once the ban was established, they kind of added countries in, took countries off, and so yeah, that could easily happen. I think we will see some minor revisions, after 180 days on this. That could definitely happen. Philip. Will EU be helped by this? Let's think about the impacts to EU. I'm looking at the country list. Okay, so I think it's too slow, Philip, to help DV25. I think, I don't think this will have enough of a feedback loop to really do anything for DV25 directly from the ban. We won't notice it if it does, put it like that. There will be a potential, and we've already talked about this, Philip, the Hail Mary situation for EU, in my mind, has become more likely because they're underfilling. And I know you don't believe me, but I'm looking in the front windscreen, and you're looking in the rearview mirror. They're underfilling. They're on track to underfill in EU. That's my belief, right? And that's against the stated quota. They're also not able to take advantage of the extra visas that will be available in Africa, unless they suddenly shift gears and do a massive couple of months of interviewing, right? And so I'm hoping for some big regional moves in terms of the visa bulletin for Africa and Asia and EU. I'm hoping for that because that would give some small embassies, can't think of any right now, but some small embassies some chance of getting some of those people through. I think this might make that a little bit more possible, but it's mostly about Africa underfilling, in my opinion. And this will impact Africa a little bit, but again, I don't think this will impact things fast enough. There are already people who are sitting in 221G, for example, in Africa or EU or Asia, that will have their visas issued. They won't just not issue the visa because of the ban. The visas will still be issued. The interviews for other people will still take place. Some people won't believe or understand this ban. Some people will turn up for their interviews and not understand this ban is in place. Can a new administration revoke the ban list after 2028? If that new administration is a Democrat administration, then yes, of course, that's what they'll do. If it's another Republican administration, they might, but we'll have to see. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. DV25, does it mean like there's no chances of us keeping hopes high because there is DV26 latest now? I don't know what that means. Will there be a redraw to fulfill places from banned countries? Absolutely not. That's not why a redraw happens. And as I've just explained multiple times, people that have been selected or have even entered for banned countries can still be selected, can still be interviewed, and so on. They just can't enter. They just can't use the visa. I know you said what happened before, but what happened? What? Can you give me a clue what you're trying to ask there, LT Gaming? Give me a clue, please. I have a printed visa on my passport. I'm from Sudan. What should I do? If you are talking about a printed DV lottery visa, DV1, then you need to start looking at flights. Get on a plane. Let me just do something. I suspect that there's smarter people than me listening to me. South Issues, update your Chrome, blah, blah, blah. My situation when the ban was announced. Oh my God, yeah, listening to two. So other smart people that have read this documentation, if you believe I'm incorrect about entering before Monday, I would appreciate you letting me know, because that's going to be my very strong advice to people such as the question that was just asked. I think you've got until Monday. Effective date, yeah, June 9th, 2025. The proclamation is effective from 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on June 9th, 2025. Yeah, you've definitely got, if you've got a visa printed in your passport right now, and you're from Sudan, I don't care how much you have to pay for a ticket, you should get your ass to America. You are banned after Monday. Okay, so you need to get on a plane like right now. Greetings, sir. Today we received update from interview scheduling, but the procedure has changed with creating accounts. I'm not interested in that question. I'm talking about the ban. Alir, you're still asking questions. Is there any? Oh my God. I'm talking about the ban, people. Please try and stay focused, right? There are literally thousands of people whose lives have just been destroyed because their once in a lifetime chance has been taken away. I'm not interested in answering questions right now about whether you need a freaking I-134 for so-and-so embassy or something. Like, let's just spare a thought for the people that are seriously wanting questions answered. I'm going to take those questions. Okay. Is it possible to cancel banned? Yes. Trump is amazingly... Trump is being called taco over here. Trump always chickens out. In terms of the tariffs, that's absolutely true. He changes his mind more often than most of us change our underwear. So he can flip flop, but bearing in mind this travel ban has been carefully crafted over a period of months. We knew this was coming, right? We talked about this before. We had the red, orange, yellow list. I haven't compared the two lists, but this is basically the ban that was discussed, right? So I think it's very unlikely that he would turn around and fix it. Zarthisius is trying to save me from being a moron. I appreciate that, Zarth. Scope subject to current visa holders should be fine. Yes, thank you, Zarth. That's so. If you are holding on to a visa, well, if you've got a visa, oh, hang on. So you're talking about revocation. Sorry, let me just, Zarth. It would be so much easier if you just joined the bloody live, and give me some input here. Subject to the exception set forth in subsection B of this subsection, who are outside of the United States and the applicable effective date of the proclamation, and do not have a very important update, thank you, and do not have a valid visa on the applicable effective date of this proclamation. So, big thank you. Very important update there. I've missed that. So, what Zarth is saying, this is Zarthisius I'm referring to. He's just pinged me in the background there. And he's saying that if you are, I've told a few people to get on a plane, right? And what he's saying is, and I personally wouldn't trust this, but that's just me. What he's saying is, if you've got a visa issued before the 9th of June, which is next Monday, if it's issued, then you're not subject to that ban. Now, could an overzealous immigration officer misunderstand and misapply that rule? Yeah, absolutely. I would personally get on a plane. I really would. I would not want to take the risk, frankly. But if you, so my first advice is, if you're holding on to a visa, get on a plane, right? Just do that. I mean, for fuck's sake, just get on a plane. If you're holding on to a visa, but for whatever reason you decide you've got 2 broken legs and 2 broken arms, and that's about the only excuse I'm accepting. If you can't get on a plane, they physically cannot wheel you to your seat for some reason, then yes, according to that, let me just find that bit and show that bit that Zarthisius was talking about. It'll be in the scope section. Scope, where is it? Forgotten. I think it should be in the second part of it. Well, no immigrant or non-immigrant visa before the applicable effective date of this proclamation shall be revoked pursuant to the proclamation. Fine, that's one aspect. But I want to see effective date, general provisions. Wow, where are you seeing that? Where are you seeing that, Zarth? Excuse me, let me just read this. This is kind of important. I want to find that bit that Zarthisius just pointed out to me. Yeah, the revoked thing, Mike, you're also commenting. The revoked thing doesn't comfort me. Revoking is not such a big deal, but the scope thing is more of a important point. Scope. There we go. Right. Subject to the exceptions. Blah blah blah. Do not have a valid visa. Right. Okay. So yeah, I should have read that more carefully. So the scope of it is you just before the exceptions are applied. The scope does not apply. This, what it's saying is, the proclamation doesn't ban you if you're holding a valid visa. Like I say, I would not trust that. It's just me. I would get on a plane, right? And I think you should have already done that, in all honesty. But if you want to take the risk, then in theory, and it's not theory. I mean, it's there in black and white. It doesn't apply to you. So you might say, "Oh, I'm fine." So the Alir with his mum that's running around the Middle East and got her visa from Armenia a month ago. Aaliyah might say, well, I'm just going to let my mum rely on that. Okay, that's fine. That's up to you. I would personally get her on the plane. That would be me. But it's up to you. Okay. Thanks for that, Zarthis. Yes, and Mike, appreciate your backup on that. If I'm a dual citizen, in which category I fall when I apply for the DV lottery? My born country or my citizen country? Okay, you're talking about applying. You apply under your country of birth, typically. There's some exceptions to that, but I'm not interested in discussing that right now. Will the visa bulletin... Yeah, like I said, I don't think the visa bulletin is going to have an immediate impact because of this. It's kind of, it's kind of a timing thing more than anything else. Will this cause a second draw for 2026, or it's just wishful thinking? Yeah, it's just wishful thinking. This does not change the number of selectees. There are 131,000. No, that was DV25. There's some number we don't know yet of selectees in DV26. Assuming that number is greater than 100,000, which I think it is, just based on the survey of the results we've seen so far, assuming it's more than 100,000, there would be no second draw. The fact that some of those selectees are now banned does not change the number of people that were selected, right? So this doesn't cause a second draw to happen, in my opinion, not at all. Are the administration wantedly reducing the speed of filling as 50% visas are available? We don't know, is the honest answer. Now, 50% are available. In a normal year, I don't know why I'm discussing this really, but in a normal year, a lot of the activity, Poppy, a lot of the activity happens in the last 4 months of the year. A lot of the visa issuance. If you look at the way that sort of steps up and speeds up in the last 4 months of the year, that's more than half of the activity normally comes from that last 4 months. They've just thrown away 2 months, and that, to my mind, was unforgivable. And maybe it means they're planning to underfill, but we have to wait and see. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about that. Any chance to stop the order by federal judge like the first time? No, I don't. I think the chances to stop this order are going to be low to none. It would have to be a very brave lawsuit, frankly, that would go up against this when the first ban was left in place. That's not the way lawyers normally work. They don't take on losing cases. Now, if there's something that I'm missing from here that says this is significantly weaker, then possible, right? But Trump's already come out and sort of taken credit for implementing another Muslim ban. He's literally done that today, this afternoon. It's like he's almost like provoking lawsuits, because the original ban was clearly a Muslim ban. That was clearly illegal. But by the third iteration of that ban, they had it more sort of tailored to security. This is more tailored to security and overstays and that sort of thing, and bad documentation, and countries that can't run their systems very well or don't cooperate with the USA. Those are the justifications, along with some terrorism thrown in there for a laugh. And so those are the justifications that this particular ban is built around, right? Then Trump comes out and starts talking about how clever he is for introducing the Muslim ban. Now, you could, if you were a lawyer, try and take those words that he's saying and try and say, yes, but this is clearly bullshit. This ban is about security and everything else in the words, but what he's saying is it's about Muslims again, right? But I don't think many lawyers are going to take that chance, to be honest with you. I think that's going to be a losing argument. Right now, with SCOTUS so clearly on Trump's side, it's just no, you're going to lose that case, right? It's just not a good opportunity for a lawyer to take that on, other than the fact they get paid lots of money, right? Do you mean after getting the visa and took a flight, I will be blocked from entering at the port of entry after paying for the flight? Yeah, that's how travel bans work. Now, in reality, when you get to the airline desk, if they know you're banned, they're going to apply the ban right there. They're not going to let you get on the plane, right? If they think you're banned, and this is part of why I would worry if I were someone holding onto a visa, right? It is possible that you could show the ban and say, hey, to the airline, hey, I shouldn't be banned. I had my visa last week or last month. I should be okay to get on the plane. But we're talking about airline staff, right? They're not the brightest folks. I'm sorry to be blunt, but they're not the brightest folks. And when someone from an airline admits a passenger onto the plane that then flies to America and is kicked out of the country, isn't allowed to enter, guess who pays for that repatriation flight? Do you know who that is? That's the airline. The airline are charged that money. They have to pay for that, right? And so the airlines are going to take a conservative point of view, if you'll forgive the pun, and they're going to say, don't care if you've got the visa. It then means you're going to have to go to the embassy and get a travel foil from the embassy to say, yes, we understand this person. You think this person was banned, but they're not banned because because the visa was issued previously. It'll just be a complicated mess, right? And as I say, I personally, if I'm Alia, as we were talking about earlier with his mum, who got the visa in Armenia, but she's from Iran, I would get her ass on the plane. I still would, right? Despite the fact that, that as Arthesius pointed out, I was incorrect. I would get on the plane. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Do people from banned countries get the interview scheduled from KCC or not because they're banned? Again, Marwin, they will get scheduled. This doesn't affect anything with regard to scheduling. I believe that the scope applies to visa issuance that is also part of the ban. So if you didn't have a visa, you will not get it, both immigrant and non-immigrant. So if you didn't have a visa, you will not get it. Oh, okay. No, so that's wrong. You're incorrect. You will get it. We've litigated all this. Handsome boy 27. Yeah. We've litigated all of this already. It's all been litigated, right? We already know that people can be issued visas that they were not able to use. That was the whole basis for the Gomez v. Trump lawsuit in 2020. We were saying the government stopped issuing visas because those people were banned, right? And we said, no, fuck you. You've got to issue the visas, right? You're allowed to stop people entering, but you're not allowed to stop issuing the visas. This was litigated, right? So you might think I'm wrong, but I'm sorry, but we've already been through. We've seen that movie. We know how that movie ends. They will be issuing visas to Iranians over the next few months, based on 221G closing or people attending new interviews. People will be able to get visas issued. They won't be able to use them unless they've got one of the exceptions. Okay. Is there exception from banned countries like DV26 and work as a doctor? Okay, so this is kind of a good question because after bans from before, there were certain sort of relaxations put in place. So, for example, the whole thing for dual citizens came from a request, I think, from Canada, where Canadians, first of all, were given a special sort of privilege. If you were a Canadian citizen as well as a banned country citizen, you were then allowed to enter, and that became the dual citizen exception, which is now included in this, right? And along the way, there were also certain other relaxations, and certain organizations were included. They included a close relative exception in one of the bans, I think. And I think they did something for doctors, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did something for doctors or certain highly qualified professionals. That wouldn't be a total shock. And the partially banned list of countries, the 7, does already include exceptions, if you want to put it that way, because for the non-immigrant visa side of things, it makes clear it's for FM and J and B1, B2, but it doesn't mention things like EB5, H1s, L1s. So in other words, for those 7 countries that are on the partial ban list, there's certain non-immigrant visas that will be allowed to enter. What will happen to the Asia region 221G cases sitting over months? Will they not issue those? They will issue those determination tails. They will issue them. And will they make the future interview cases to 221G because of this ban? No, they won't put cases into 221G because those people are banned, if that's the only reason. And people who are in 221G, if they clear 221G, they can be issued the visas. They just can't enter with them. That's the point. This is an entry ban. Let me just scroll back up and just... he should have mentioned 2112F. Yeah, there you go. It's in there. Let me show you. This is full or partial suspension on the admission of nationals from those countries pursuant to 212F. 212F is the presidential power defined under the INA, which is the Immigration and Nationality Act. It's like 112F, 1182F, which is basically the reference to 212F. It's the same exact thing. And that gives the president the power to stop people entering, even with valid visas. That's basically what that says. It's about certain classes of individuals. The president has the power to ban entry for certain classes of individuals. This was what was used before, and this is what was fought in DV 2020. This was the basis of the DV 2020 lawsuit, where the lawyers were able to get an extra 7,000 visas issued to people in September, between September 4th of 2020 and September 30th. An additional 7,000 visas were issued to DV lottery winners. And those people were at that time banned from entry. This was during the COVID times, right? And so the government had stopped operating and stopped issuing visas almost entirely in every embassy. And the Gomez v. Trump lawsuit said, you're not allowed to stop issuing visas. You can do remote interviews, you can do all sorts of things, but you should be issuing the visas. And so those visas were issued in September, and in February, I think it was, the following February, the ban was removed, and those people were able to enter. That's exactly what happened. So we got an extra 7,000 visas issued because of that. So I have clear proof and experience of how this will operate. It will allow visas to be issued still. It just will. It's just this is a ban on entry under 212F. That's what this is. Okay. Amanda, I'm part of the travel ban, but I will enter on June 6th. Wow. The effective date for the ban is June 9th. Will I be turned away for the airport? No, you won't be. Congratulations on your sensible planning to get here on June the 6th. According to the scope section, you wouldn't have been banned technically, even if you were entering on July 30th or something after the 9th. However, I personally would not trust that, and I'm very glad that you've got your flight already booked on June 6th. You'll be fine, Amanda. You won't be banned. Okay. There is something out there. You must be destined to do something very important because you've got lucky, luck has blessed you today. Lika, hey Simon, considering this year and how the lottery process is going, do you think, I'm sorry, Lika, I'm talking about the ban. What are the countries banned? Let me read that again. There's a few people that probably haven't heard this. Let me read that again. Oh man, it's right up the top. I've lost myself in this. Countries. Where's the list of countries? Here we go. There are two sections. Siddiqui Bility. There are two sections. The first is a completely banned list of countries that are banned for all immigrant and non-immigrant visas. And the second list is for partially banned countries where a few non-immigrant visas are allowed to enter. So the first list is Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo. Is that how it's named? Anyway, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Those countries are fully banned for immigrant and non-immigrant visas. The second list is 7 further countries that are banned as far as DV lottery is concerned, because those are immigrant visas. So Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. So those 19 countries from a DV lottery point of view are all banned. That's the reality. There are some exceptions. All right. So if you're already a green card holder, let me just recap on that. If you're already an LPR, which means green card holder, whether you have the physical green card or not, if you're an LPR, you're exempted from this ban. If you hold a visa that you've already been issued under DV lottery, then in theory you're exempted from this ban, but I wouldn't personally trust that. And this ban doesn't come into force until the 9th, which is next Monday. So there's a few days when you've got a clear ability to enter the country with no problem. But from Monday, airlines are going to start screwing this up, and they're going to tell you you're banned, even if you already had the visa, right? That's one thing. You may even turn up at America, and that an immigration officer could tell you you're banned. Hopefully that would be sorted out. If you were going through that, they wouldn't actually eject you from the country. Hopefully a supervisor would get involved. You would say to the immigration officer, hang on a minute, I already had this visa. You should let me enter. And hopefully someone with more brain cells than the first immigration officer would figure that out. But if you're held back by the airline, you've then got to run around like an idiot trying to get the embassy to give you a justification which would clear the, it's called a travel foil. It clears the airline to admit you onto the plane, because that's what they need to do. Okay. I'm a citizen from Myanmar right now in the US with a tourist visa. Can I continue my stay in the US and can I extend my visa? Yes. So this is an important one to talk about as well. And I'm just going to take, you're probably just talking about, your tourist visa. You're worried about that, etc. You can try and extend that. I don't know whether they will extend it or not. But if you're a DV lottery winner from Myanmar, and if you're current or whatever, you should file an adjustment of status case immediately, right? If you're current, I mean, you have to be current. But I would rather you didn't leave the country. I would rather that if you're a DV lottery winner. I don't know whether you are a DV lottery winner. I think you may just be asking about travel, about tourist visas. Yeah, you should definitely think about that real fast. Oh my God, I was planning of my future. I'm from Libya. Winner of DV26. Did I stop completing my DS260? If you have not already filed your DS260, you should probably pause and think about this and wait for a few days until the dust is settled and we find out whether someone's going to try and fight this or not. And also you can think about whether you could obtain a different citizenship, which is another way of getting an exception from this ban. If you've got dual citizenships, dual nationalities, 2 passports, you would be able to get around this ban by virtue of traveling on the other passport. Okay. Hey, BritSimon, this ban affected my DV26. My case number is 13,000. Yeah, but what country? I can't answer that question because you haven't told me what country. Can't wait for entry for DV27 to see the excitement and joy and happiness to be part of DV's new era. Oh, okay. EB5 is an immigrant visa, sir. Is it? No, it's not. Is it? EB5. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like the golden green card thing, isn't it? That's actually what the golden green card is talking about. Thank you, Bandini. I'm not an expert outside the DV lottery. So I often make mistakes. So you're right to correct me. Thank you. Good morning, sir. I want to ask this question. What are the cases that have been scheduled? Oh, I'm a citizen from Myanmar now. Oh, come on. You keep asking the same question. Okay, so it looks like we've covered most of the questions. But you brought my question to the screen, but you didn't answer it. You just smiled. I interpret this as, you can interpret it any way you want, but I've said several times, Bora, in this video, I'm interested in talking about travel ban impacted people. I understand you're concerned about your case, and the reason I smiled was because I think about an individual person that I would like to see get to America, and a whole family with multiple children, could be 5 or 6 or 7 children by now. I don't know how many. Sorry, Philip. So when I think of EU 30K, I think of that one person. I don't think of you. Sorry about that. I'm just interested in talking about travel ban. Will 30K EU get current or not? I don't know. I hope so. I really hope so. But that's why I smiled about it, and it didn't mean anything more than that. John, I'm sorry to hear more than one more question. And I spoke with you earlier, John, about getting to the airport, right? If citizen from one of the 7 countries has won the DV lottery on May 25, but didn't apply for the visa yet, does it mean he or she won't get a case number? Won't get visa and case number? If you've not, so John, if you, so firstly, there's 19 countries affected by this as far as DV lottery is concerned. If you won the DV lottery on May 25, which means you're DV 26, you cannot process your DV 26 win in time by next Monday to get the visa, right? Fairly obviously. So yeah, you could process your case and you could get the visa, and maybe you want to do that because maybe you want to continue the process, and maybe even attend the interview, and maybe even spend the fees. You could do all of that because you would be hoping that this ban will be revoked in time to let you enter the country. That's your option. That's your risk. It's up to you. And if the money aspect of this isn't a concern for you, that's probably a smart thing to do, right? I would throw $300 at it as a risk to say, I'll get my visa and hope that in the 6-month validity that I've got, that the ban is revoked. Maybe Trump suddenly becomes a nice guy. I would. Well, I'm not saying that Trump's going to become a nice guy, but I would take that risk, and I think many people will. I'm a Dr. DV winner from Libya. I hope you find somewhere around that as well. I just don't know what that will be. Stoic, how you doing? I want to point out that Egypt got a special mention on the executive order. Did they? Is that true? What was the special mention? Egypt. Additionally, in light of recent events, the Secretary of State, in consultation with the Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security and Director of National Intelligence, shall provide me an update to the review of the practices and procedures to confirm the adequacy of its current screening. Oh my God. Sorry, thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so that's a sort of a threat to add Egypt to this ban list. It's only a threat at this point, but you're right to point it out, Stoic. Thank you. Again, that would affect thousands of people in DV26 in particular. But changes like adding Egypt to this isn't going to be a DV25 impact. It's sort of asking for a report. They did this before, right? They've asked for a report within 90 days. He doesn't specify in this proclamation the 90 days, but they asked for a report, and then the outcome of that report could be either adding that country to the ban or not adding that country to the ban, either way. How about the golden card, the $5 million bullshit golden card for banned countries? It would still be banned, funnily enough. So you could pay the $5 million and it would still be banned. Yeah, amazing. For the partial restricted countries, can they still apply for spousal visa to the US? What the hell is wrong with you, Poppy? My wife has just left to Spain, and I think my dog is just generally upset. I thought she loved me more than she loved my wife or my daughter, but apparently not. Dogs, she's a female dog. That's why she's fickle. For the partially restricted countries, can they still apply for spousal visa to the US? Yes, right. It can't be FMJ, it can't be B1, B2. But for the 7 countries that are in the partially restricted list, they can still apply for spousal visas. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, is not how's it worded? The wording of the name of it struck me as a bit odd. It's the Republic of the Congo. Why is it called the Republic of the Congo in this? Isn't it you've got the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is different from the Republic of Congo. And I lived in South Africa. Okay, I'm now a little confused, but it's Republic of the Congo. I don't think that even makes sense. The wording of that sort of worries me a little bit, or concerns me. Let's see. Visa bulletin. The way I always look this stuff up is I go to the visa bulletin, and then do I just go to that? No, I go to the visa bulletin for 24 and 24 September, where we see the list of winners for the year. I always do this because for whatever reason, I remember numbers really well, but I don't remember words as well. I don't know why. So Congo, well, it says there too, Congo Republic of the, so it's Republic of the Congo as opposed to DRC, right? So DRC is not impacted by this. The 513 selectees for Republic of the Congo is the country affected. Okay, thank you for asking for that clarification. That's useful. I'm sure that, and let me just make that bigger so people can see what I'm referring to there. And that is what I'm talking about. This, the wording they've used is exactly that wording. So they're right in the order. It just looks weird to me, but it's Republic of the Congo. And that's, the people, 2,700 people just cheered. So though my country, Liberia, is not part of the ban, I feel really sorry for those who are banned. Yeah, I'm not part of the ban either, and I feel horrible about this. AS current, thanks Trump. No, that's not really how it will work, Mantha. No, that's not how it will work. But anyway, will the ban DV lottery winner if he is dual citizen? No, I've already covered that. It's an exception. Sierra Leone is part of the ban. Yes, Amid. Okay, so I think we've covered all the questions. I've got up to date. This is really weird that I got up to date, but it's because most of the world is in the middle of the night. So that's good. Let me just see. I see Mike's just said something there. Okay, section 4. Oh, and Sarthisius. Section 4. What about section 4? Oh, thank you. Sarthisius was trying to guide me as I was hopelessly trying to find my way around things. Anyway, we've really got to get you on camera, Zarthisius. We've got Philip, we've had Stoic, we've had Roberto. We've got to get you on camera, and you, Mike. We've got to get some little helpers on camera when I'm doing one of these sudden lives. I need your help. Anyway, so that's all the questions I've got in my list there. This is a horrible day. I hate this government so much. I regret that there are enough morons in this country that elected this bunch of buffoons. It just pisses me off. But there it is. So I think determination tells. I think I've covered that already. You could look at the live. I've managed to talk on this for 1 hour and 29 minutes. I can't believe that. But I could have said this whole thing in 10 minutes. Trump is an idiot. Trump has banned 19 countries as far as DV lottery is concerned. There are some exceptions, which most notably means If you're already an LPR, you're accepted from this. If you have a visa already, you're accepted from this. I'm not sure I would trust that. The ban doesn't come into place until Monday. Another important exception is dual nationals, and then there'll be a few additional exceptions, but that's the main sort of bullet points. We probably could have covered that in 10 minutes, but anyway. So there you go. Okay. All right, everybody. Hope that was useful to you. I'm very, very sad for a lot of you that have just had your hopes and dreams smashed. And over the coming days, we'll talk about this again, I'm sure. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Bye-bye.